The world doesn't see truth, it sees signals. Look broke, they treat you broke. Look uncertain, they forget your name. Power isn't about money.
It's about perception.
You either look like control or you look like prey, where there's no in between. So hold your frame, fix your image, and remember, the moment you look poor, your power's already gone. Point 1, the death of power begins with image. Power doesn't collapse overnight. It bleeds out the second you look like you've lost control. The world reads your image before it hears your words. Every day, you're being judged before you even speak, but by how you appear. The way you walk into a room, the way your eyes meet someone else's, the way your body carries silence, it all sends a signal. And that signal decides whether people see you as a leader or a background character. Here's the dark truth. Power never leaves suddenly. It fades the moment your presence stops demanding respect. When your energy starts asking for approval instead of assuming it. The moment you start explaining yourself too much, apologizing too fast, or trying to convince someone that you're worth listening to, that's when your power starts to rot quietly inside you. Most people never even notice this decay. They think losing power means losing money or losing followers. But no, power dies first in your image. It dies when you look tired, when you look needy, when your vibe screams, "Please notice me." The world doesn't feel sorry for that version of you. It moves right past it. That's the rule of modern survival. You are not what you are.
You are what you look like you are. Harsh, yes?
But that's how humans work. We read symbols faster than words. We scan faces, postures, and tones, not thoughts. You could be brilliant inside, burning with potential. But if your look tells another story, a story of loss, doubt,
or fear, that's the version the world will. Let me put it like this. You could have the sharpest mind in the room,
but if your shoulders slump, your tone wavers, your clothes scream insecure, people won't see your intelligence. They'll see uncertainty.
And uncertainty doesn't attract power.
It repels it. That's why kings wore crowns. Not for beauty, but to signal dominance. Why soldiers polish armor before battle. Why leaders speak with controlled silence. These aren't random habits. They're ancient tactics to project certainty when chaos is all around. Because humans don't follow truth, they follow confidence. They don't seek honesty, they seek control. And in every situation, the person who looks like they're in control is in control. Now think about your own life. How many times have you downplayed yourself to look humble? How often have you let others see your frustration, your struggle, your exhaustion, believing it would make you real? But the moment they saw that side of you, they stopped fearing you.
Stopped respecting you.
Because in their eyes, you lost the illusion of power. The problem isn't showing emotion. The problem is showing weakness without intention. Powerful people express pain, but never accidentally. When they show vulnerability, it's strategic, not emotional leakage. It's calculated honesty, something that deepens control instead of breaking it. See, the line between power and pity is razor thin.
Once people start pitying you, they can't respect you, they can't desire you, they can't follow you.
Because pity kills attraction faster than failure ever could. That's why appearance isn't just surface level, it's survival. Your posture, your tone, your expression, these are weapons. They tell the world whether you should be respected, feared, or ignored. And when you stop controlling them, you give your power away for free. So here's the harsh lesson. Never look powerless, even when you are. You could be broke, exhausted, betrayed, but if you carry yourself like you're still the prize, the world will hesitate to treat you otherwise. You can rebuild in silence, but you must look unbroken while doing it. The trick is to make your struggle invisible and your presence undeniable. You can cry behind closed doors, but in public, your frame must speak louder than your feelings. And no, that's not fake, that's strategy. Because truth doesn't survive in raw form. It survives only when wrapped in strength. Remember this, power isn't taken from you. You give it away when you start performing weakness. When you start saying too much, when you start seeking validation, when you stop owning the silence around you. So from this point forward, fix your image like your life depends on it.
Because in this world, it kind of does. Never let them see you bleed. Never look desperate.
And never let your eyes beg for understanding, because once you do, they stop seeing you entirely. Point 2, power, belongs to the one who controls emotion. The moment they can trigger you,
They own you.
power doesn't disappear. It shifts from the calm mind to the one that reacts first. Most people think power comes from dominance, louder voice, stronger words, bigger ego, but that's surface level stuff. Real power hides behind stillness. It's quiet.
It doesn't flinch.
Because the second you react emotionally, you've already handed control to the other person. That's why emotional control isn't just confidence, it's a weapon. In any room, whoever stays calm longest wins. The one who doesn't chase, doesn't over-explain, doesn't rush to prove something, that person holds the leash. The other one? Just a puppet dancing to triggers. The dark psychology of emotion is simple. Humans crave reaction. When someone can make you angry, jealous, defensive, or desperate, they feel powerful. That's their ego saying, I can move you. And once they can move you, they can manipulate you. That's why you must master one skill above all: emotional detachment. You can't control the world, but you can control your response. You can't stop people from testing you, but you can stop giving them results. Think about how many arguments you've lost, not because you were wrong, but because you lost composure. How many relationships collapsed, not from betrayal, but from reaction. Emotion is fuel. Whoever burns it faster loses control first. The strong don't suppress emotions, they discipline them. They feel everything but show nothing that weakens them. When they speak, it's after the storm, not during it.
That's what makes
People sense something restrained, and that restraint feels like power. Look at the most intimidating people. They don't shout.
They don't threaten.
They simply observe. That calm gaze, that's not passivity.
That's control.
The power to not respond instantly. It unsettles people, makes them overthink, makes them doubt themselves, and that's the whole game. Make them question their control while you guard yours.
Because emotion is energy. They can drain it, they weaken you.
If you hold it, you dominate the space. Here's the irony. Society tells you to be real, to speak your truth. But that advice works only for those who already have power. If you're building it, your emotions are your most valuable currency. Spend them wisely. Every outburst costs you authority. Every visible insecurity gives someone leverage. You don't need to be emotionless. You just need to be unpredictable. Never let anyone map your buttons.
Never let them know what gets to you.
Because when they can predict you, they can control you. And it's not just personal relationships. It's business, leadership, attraction, all of it. The man or woman who keeps emotional control sets the tone.
Others adjust around them.
People instinctively submit to emotional stability. It's evolutionary. Now here's the real test. When chaos hits, when betrayal comes, when pressure rises, your instinct will be to react.
That's your ego screaming for release.
But if you can pause, just breathe, wait 5 seconds, you'll shift from reacting to deciding. That small gap is where power lives. Because people who can't control their emotions are easy to read, easy to manipulate, and easy to destroy. But the one who controls emotion controls the room, the relationship, the outcome. So here's the Machiavellian truth. Let them think they're getting to you. Let them think they've won. Smile, nod, say little, and let their overconfidence dig their own grave. Your silence will disturb them more than your anger ever could. Control your emotions, and you'll control everything attached to them. Love, respect, loyalty, fear. Because power doesn't shout. It watches, waits, and wins. Point 3. The illusion of wealth. How to look powerful before you are. The world doesn't care how much you have. It only cares how much you look like you have. In the theatre of life, even confidence wears designer. Most people wait until they make it before they start acting powerful. But here's the dark truth. You'll never make it until you start acting powerful. Because perception always arrives before proof. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Power isn't about having resources. It's about looking like you already do.
And that illusion?
pulls real power toward you like gravity. Think about it. When a man walks into a room wearing control, composure, and confidence, people assume he's important. They don't ask questions. They fill in the blanks with status, success, and respect. That's not luck. See, that's psychology. Humans are visual creatures. We trust what looks certain. We follow what feels valuable. And we judge before we even understand. That's why looking poor, it's in energy, appearance, or tone, is a silent death sentence in the game of influence. When you look like you need something, people pull away. When you look like you already have it, they chase you. Here's the dark psychology behind it. People are not attracted to money. They're attracted to certainty. They don't admire luxury. They admire control. And control looks expensive. You can be broke and still radiate wealth, not through fake jewelry or flashy clothes, but through composure.
A man who moves with calmness, who speaks with intention, who doesn't chase, he feels like wealth.
Because chaos is cheap. Order is rare. Machiavelli would say, men admire what they cannot easily touch, so become untouchable. Not in body, but in energy.
Stop explaining it.
Stop proving your worth. Let your silence be the loudest signal in the room. A poor man trying to look rich will always be exposed. But a man who acts as if he already belongs commands rooms he's never even been invited to. Why? Because the mind believes the illusion long before it demands the evidence. Even kings understood this. They wore crowns not for comfort, but for perception. They built castles not for living, but for believing. Every piece of gold, every symbol, every robe was a story of control told through illusion. You can do the same. Every detail you control, your voice, your posture, your silence, your clothing, becomes part of the illusion.
Not fake, intentional. Your clothes don't need to be, they need to look deliberate.
Your words don't need to be poetic, they need to sound certain. Your presence doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be undeniable. Because in the hierarchy of perception, control looks rich, chaos looks poor, and people will always pay attention to the one who looks in command of his own world. So the illusion of wealth isn't about faking it, it's about mastering it. Mastering your tone so it never sounds desperate.
Mastering your reactions so they never reveal weakness. Mastering your image so it always looks intentional. Once you do that, the world starts treating you as if you already have everything.
And here's where it gets darkly beautiful. When enough people believe the illusion, it stops being illusion. It becomes reality. Napoleon did this.
Caesar did this.
Every self-made ruler in history did this.
They looked like victory before
They walked like destiny had already chosen them. And because they looked certain, the uncertain followed. That's the law. You don't chase power, you project it. You don't prove worth, you embody it. So before you step into any room, ask yourself, do I look like I need something? Or do I look like I choose everything?
Because one attracts pity.
The other attracts power, and that's the illusion of wealth. Not gold, not cars, not cash. It's calmness in chaos, control in uncertainty, confidence without noise. You don't have to be rich to look powerful. You just have to stop looking poor in energy, because in this world, looking poor makes people forget you. Looking powerful makes them remember you, even when you're gone. Point 4, the psychology of perception. How the world sees you before you speak. Before you say a single word, the world has already decided who you are. Not by truth, by perception. And that decides your fate. Every day you are being judged. Silently, instantly, and brutally. Before you speak, before you move, before you even understand what's happening, the world has already placed you somewhere on its invisible ladder, respected or ignored. Trusted or dismissed, followed or forgotten. This happens in seconds. Psychologists call it thin slicing. Machiavelli called it human nature. He knew that people don't wait to know you. They assume you. They don't see your truth. They see their interpretation of you. Your body language, your tone, your silence, all of it becomes a signal. And that signal writes the story people tell about you. Now here's the dark part. Most people let that story be written for them. They walk through life hoping that others will see who they really are. But that never happens. Because perception is not about reality, it's about control. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He said, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand," meaning they believe what they see,
not what you do. Think about it. When someone looks composed,
confident and calm, we instantly label them as capable.
even if we know nothing about them.
And when someone looks lost, nervous, or uncertain, we assume they're weak, even if they're brilliant. This is how the brain works. It seeks patterns. It craves certainty.
And certainty looks like power. Your perception, how others see you, is not just a reflection.
It's a weapon. It can build empire or destroy your reputation before it begins. So here's the truth, Machiavelli would whisper. Control perception or be controlled by it. If you don't shape how the world sees you, the world will decide for you. And you may not like its version of your story. Every gesture you make sends a signal. Your posture says whether you command space or apologize for existing. Your silence says whether you're confident or afraid. Your eye contact says whether you lead or follow. You might think these are small things, but they are everything. Because people don't analyze, they feel. They don't wait for proof. They decide instantly. That's why power isn't about truth. It's about presentation. And presentation isn't fake. It's strategy. You can tell a room that you're confident 100 times, but if your body says otherwise, no one believes you, because the mind listens to what the eyes see, not what the ears hear. Now let's go deeper. Why is perception so powerful?
Because humans are built to avoid weakness.
Weakness reminds them of fear, loss, and vulnerability. It triggers discomfort. So when someone looks desperate, poor in energy, or uncertain, people subconsciously pull away. On the other hand, when someone looks calm, certain, in control, they're drawn in. They want to be close to that energy. They feel safe in its gravity. That's why power feels magnetic. It's not magic, it's psychology. The perception of control is control.
Even if you're falling apart inside, i.e., if your image looks steady, people treat you as steady.
And once enough people believe it, even chaos starts to obey your command. That's how leaders rise. That's how influence begins, not by truth, but by the illusion of order. Machiavelli warned rulers never to appear weak, because once weakness is seen, it can never be unseen. It sticks to your reputation like a stain. People may forgive mistakes, but they never forget weakness. That's why every empire begins with one skill, the control of perception. When Caesar walked into Rome, he didn't explain his power, he wore it. When Napoleon spoke, he didn't raise his voice, he lowered it and made others lean in. They understood that the world listens before it understands and decides before it asks. So here's what you must remember. Perception isn't about pretending. It's about presenting. It's about deciding what story your presence tells before your mouth even opens. If you don't write that story, the world will write one for you, and you'll be trapped in its version forever. So study yourself the way others see you.
Watch your tone.
Watch your walk. Watch your stillness. Ask yourself, does my presence scream confidence or confusion? Do I look like I lead or like I wait for permission? Do I make people feel safe or do I make them doubt me? Because every answer decides your position in the hierarchy, and the hierarchy doesn't forgive carelessness. Machiavelli's genius was this. He understood that the eyes of others are the mirrors that shape your fate. Control what they see, and you control what they believe. Control what they believe, and you control reality itself. In the end, perception is not decoration, it's destiny. The world doesn't follow truth, it follows confidence.
It doesn't honor honesty.
It honors certainty. And those who understand that rule. So never walk carelessly. Never speak without control. Never appear unsure, because in a world built on illusion, the man who controls perception controls power. Point 5. The art of absence. Why silence creates power. The moment you disappear, they start to notice your worth. Because presence gets attention where you start, but absence creates power. Most people think power comes from being seen, being heard, being everywhere. But that's the first lie the weak believe. Because the truth is, which is, when you are always available, you lose value. When you are everywhere, you become ordinary.
And when people stop missing you,
They stop respecting you. Machiavelli understood something few ever grasp. Attention is not power. Power is control. And control means knowing when not to appear. You see, presence creates attention, but absence creates mystery.
and mystery, that's what builds aura.
That invisible force that makes people think about you, talk about you.
Even in your silence, every great leader, every ruler, every icon in history understood this. The dance between showing up, stepping back.
Appear too much and you're forgotten. Disappear too long and you're replaced. But control your appearances with intention, and your image becomes legendary. The truth is simple but brutal. Familiarity kills fascination. The more they see you, the less they value you.
It's human nature. People crave what they can't easily have.
When you become scarce, you become valuable. Machiavelli wrote that men desire what they cannot easily touch. So when you vanish strategically, not out of fear, but out of control, you activate that desire.
Your silence becomes your statement.
Your absence becomes your weapon. When you stop chasing people, when you stop forcing your presence, the world feels your withdrawal like oxygen leaving the room. They start wondering, where did he go? What is he doing?
Has he outgrown us? And those questions.
Those unanswered questions.
Because people fill silence with.
And imagination always paints you greater than reality ever could. Look around. The most powerful people you know don't speak often. They don't post every day.
They don't explain themselves.
They appear when it matters. And when they do, it feels like an event. Their words carry weight, not because they shout, but because they withhold. Their silence creates tension, and tension is what makes attention valuable. Presence should feel like a privilege, not a routine. When people think they can access you anytime, they stop seeing your value. But when you limit access, when your time feels expensive, people start treating it like it is. This is not arrogance, it's strategy. Absence, when used wisely, multiplies respect. Machiavelli would say, it's a ruler who cannot vanish, cannot command. Because if you must always explain, justify, and remind people of your worth, you've already lost control. A powerful man walks away at the peak of attention. He leaves when the spotlight is brightest, not because he needs to, but because he chooses to. And that choice radiates confidence. Poor men overstay. They wait for permission to leave. They linger in conversations, hoping to be remembered. But the longer they stay, the more invisible they become. Powerful men understand timing. They enter with impact and exit with precision. They know that sometimes leaving the room speaks louder than staying in it, because silence makes others reflect. Absence makes them respect. Here's the psychology behind it. When you're absent, people's minds don't stop thinking about you. They idealize you. They replay moments, exaggerate your strengths, forget your flaws. You become a myth, and myths always hold more power than men. Every reappearance then becomes a return, not a reminder.
People don't just see you, they feel your presence. And that feeling
is what keeps your power alive. So learn the art of absence. Don't rush to fill silence. Let silence work for you. Don't chase visibility. Let mystery make you magnetic. Don't crave attention. Make attention crave you. The truth is, absence is luxury, that only the powerful can afford it. But if you master it early, it becomes your armor. Because when you can disappear without losing relevance, you've already won. You've proven that your power doesn't depend on constant presence. It depends on the memory you leave behind. Machiavelli would tell you, visibility without mystery is poverty of influence. So appear with precision, disappear with intention. And every time you return, let it feel like the world stopped for you. Closing. Power isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself, because the world doesn't see your truth.
It sees your reflection.
The way you walk, speak, react, that's your story before you even open your mouth. So never beg to be understood. Never explain your worth. Just project it. Let your calm look like wealth. Let your silence feel like danger. Because when the world believes you are unshakable, you already are. In the theater of power, perception writes destiny.
And the one who masters that illusion
never fades, never fears, never falls.